Hello, I'm Javier Harkeen, and this is Harking Back, a podcast about the pop culture of a lifetime. Whose life? Mine. I'm going back through every year I've been alive and finding out what was going on in that year. This week we're looking at 2004. I'm 22 in 2004. How old were you in 2004? I don't know. In 2004, I just finished uni and I went straight into a job. I was working for a small startup company that made keyloggers. What's a keylogger? Good question, person living in 2024. Keyloggers would record things that you typed on your keyboard. It was a physical, small little device about the size of an AA battery. And it would plug in between your keyboard and your computer, and it would record everything that you typed. So our clients were like police and security companies and private investigators and people in marriages with zero trust. I was brought in to help with their marketing. And I didn't know why. I was kind of really just the assistant to their marketing guy. Like I would whip up graphics for him or like get back to, he'd hand off emails to me that I would reply to. I remember we liaised with reviewers. I would send the product out and I'd get the replies back from the reviewers. I had one reviewer come back and was just really snarky. He was just in his review back. He was like, yes, you record all the keystrokes, but you can't tell what I'm doing with my mouse, can you? And he wrote this little script in there. Like, it was really kind of teasing. Like, in his email, he wrote things like, ooh, can you, this is verbatim. So the email said, ooh, you can't see what I'm doing with my mouse. You can't see where I'm clicking. Can you, keylogger? Ooh, I'm clicking over here now. Did you see what I click? No, you didn't. It was literally like that. Verbatim. And I wrote back to him and I said, I see you noticed that our keylogger doesn't record mouse clicks. Well spotted. And my boss saw that email. He's like, don't do that shit again. I did this kind of dog's body work for about 3 months. And then we had some software that goes with the keylogger. And the programmer that worked on that software left. And they were looking around. And they were going, oh, God, where are we going to find another programmer? And one of them went, Huv, do you program? Like, this was the level of the... Do you? And I went, yeah, I've got a computer science degree. And they're like, oh, dude, you should come and sit over here and work on the program. And I did. I think I asked for a raise then. I can't remember. I know that I would have been 22 and not good at asking for anything. So I think my parents would have gone like, you need to ask for a raise. And I think I did. I still on terrible money. But hey, I went straight out of university into a job. I did not know any better. Let's find out things that were going on in 2004. Things going on in 2004. Facebook launches. Facebook, the second most annoying thing to come out of Harvard after Mark Zuckerberg. There was a feature in early Facebook called Poke. Do you remember that feature? Millennials, where are my millennials at? Who remembers the poke feature in Facebook where you could just poke someone's profile? And if you didn't know about this feature, don't worry. Every comedian on the planet will remind you that Facebook has this feature. Even years later when I started like really doing open mics around the place, people were still going on about this. Comedians. This was the first joke I think I ever got. It was just overdone, and every time you heard a comedian go, have you seen the poke feature on Facebook? Everyone just go, yes, we have. Shut up, please. Anything else? I remember I think I joined Facebook. It took me a while to join Facebook, and I was like, okay, let's see what this all is about. And I think, what did I do? I think I played poker on it mainly. They had this little poker game on it. That's what I did. Little did we know the Pandora's box of social media that we had opened by joining Facebook. If Facebook hadn't been successful, I think we wouldn't have had things like Instagram and everything else. You can see this was the snowflake that started the snowball. Anyway, in 2004 in New Zealand, this was big news in New Zealand. There was a famous sheep called Shrek. And by the way, that is a big achievement in New Zealand to be a famous sheep. There's 22 million of them. There was a sheep that was famously escaped from a farm for 6 years. And they found him, / they caught him, or they tracked him down. And this sheep needed to be shorn immediately. It had kept producing wool and its coat had gotten, shall we say, out of control. Like, it looked like a cloud with little legs sticking out the bottom, just barely sticking, tips of legs sticking out the bottom of it, and a little sheep nose sticking out. Like, I don't know how the sheep survived for the last year because it there's no way it could see. It's blind. Like, I think it just wandered the earth and stumbled across someone that went, oh God, we need to help you. And it looked like a cloud. Like, when I say it looked like a cloud, it looked like a cloud with a meth addiction. It was manky. It was not looking good. There was 6 years of needed. Imagine not cutting your hair for 6 years. Imagine you're growing your hair out of all of your body continuously like a sheep. Anyway, was that a terrible image in your head? Probably. They made a little picture book about it called Shrek the Sheep. And my wife's cousin helped write it because she went to the school near where this happened in Terrace. There you go. What else happened in 2004? G.I. Joe, The Rocking Horse, and Scrabble are all inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame, which I did not know existed, and now I just want to go there. The only toy museum I've been to is there's this one in Wanaka, New Zealand, which is a toy museum / incredible car collection. This guy just collected cars and toys for years and just made this amazing toy / car museum out of it. He's got like about 300 cars there, and so many old classic toys, like, and really cool ones too. Like, you're like, oh my God, is that a complete set of G.I. Joe, blah, blah, blah? It's very cool. If you're near Wanaka, New Zealand, take the kids, take yourself. I remember last time I was in Wanaka, I was like, I'll take the kids, because I just wanted to go and have a look at it again. In 2004, there's the famous Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson Super Bowl halftime show incident where he is supposed to rip off some of her costume to reveal a smaller costume underneath, but he actually ripped off a piece and her boob hangs out on national TV for 3 seconds. And they called it, this is where the infamous wardrobe malfunction is what they called it. I love that stuck around. Honestly, who gives a shit? Who cares? Just some people were outraged. Why? Why are you outraged? What are you outraged about? It's a boob. It doesn't matter. What if my children, that's the first thing they saw. Your child, okay? The first thing they saw was boobs and they sucked on them, okay? So just chill out. They had this whole like expose where Janet Jackson came on Oprah and talked about it, and Oprah was like, talk us through it, and Janet was explaining. The second you get to this sort of thing where you're like, okay, I'm going to get a spot, I'm going to explain / apologize what's happened, it never looks good. It never comes off well because now it looks like it's a big thing and it never was. It's like explaining a joke. Anyway, I've talked too much about this. Let's look at what else happens in 2004. In 2004, House comes out. The TV show House, that's very popular in 2004. I only watched a few episodes of House, but I loved the idea of this show is one doctor going around a hospital calling other doctors idiots and patients morons. I bet doctors love this show. I bet after a hard shift, doctors come home and go, I'm going to watch House and watch him give it to everyone else in this hospital. Yes. Lost comes out in 2004 and becomes insanely popular, and I think becomes the first TV show with an ending that is universally hated. I had some friends that were watching Lost, and they loved it. I watched a couple of episodes of the first season, and I remember thinking, this is really good, this is really interesting. I'm going to wait until I can get someone with a box set to borrow, because you couldn't just catch up these days. And then I'll watch the whole thing. And then I remember the ending rolled around, and my friends who loved it, they just deflated when I saw them after the ending. I was like, how's the final episode? And they're just like, I don't want to talk about it. So yeah, I think this was the first famous, oh God, everyone hates this ending. That was Lost. I just realized now the show's called Lost and they didn't have an ending. Ironically, they were foreshadowing. Desperate Housewives comes out in 2004 and again becomes incredibly popular. I mean, it's a simple idea, but someone just came up with this, and it is genius. I mean, from a marketable selling standpoint, like, it's a soap opera with MILFs. Multi-million-dollar idea. I mean, I saw a potato ad, an ad for roast potatoes, and it had one of the housewives in it. Not the actress, but I think the actress playing her character in the ad. I might be wrong, but this is what I remember. And I remember thinking, I think that's the first time I've seen a character from a TV show advertise something. I'm sure it's happened before, but it's the first time I had seen it. And like, that's the influence of Desperate Housewives. I'm like, we could make this character sell roast potatoes in the UK, I think. I probably got so many details of that wrong. Battlestar Galactica comes out in 2004. This is how you reboot a show. The Battlestar Galactica reboot of 2004. I mean, I never saw the original. I do not need to see the original. But what I can tell is they took elements from the original TV show and just went, oh, there are some really... Because Battlestar Galactica came out in the 70s, and what it was a knee-jerk reaction to Star Wars. Because when Star Wars came out and was a huge hit, suddenly every studio in the world was tripping over themselves, suddenly going, we need to make space, action, science fiction shows or movies, and hoping to get some of that Star Wars craze on their side. And Battlestar Galactica came out, and I think it was moderately successful. I don't know. But they had interesting elements in there, and they took those elements and they, cranked them up to 10. And this reboot series is fantastic. I mean, it does jump the shark at one point, but you do get 6 seasons of incredible viewing. And even in the first episode, the stakes escalate exponentially in the first episode. Like, suddenly you go from people just going, you forge some relationships with these people on this starship, and then the planet blows up and humanity is just what's left of the spaceships that were floating in space at that time. And so suddenly the fate of the human race is thrust upon them. And that's the starting point. That's episode 1. I've not ruined anything, okay? That's episode 1. And it goes from there, and just the politics and the relationships and the struggles, and it's very, very good. It's good. You should check it out. Also in 2004, Peppa Pig launches. I hate this show. I hate Peppa Pig. I hate her voice. I hate the fact that her little brother George cries multiple times in every episode, and the sound of him crying is horrendous. And the only reason you're watching Peppa Pig is because you have a child of about 2 or 3 years old, and they cry all the time. I don't need to hear my child cry and this pig cry. It's... Oh, and the dad is an idiot. The dad is a moron. Let's all laugh at Dad every episode because he's incompetent. Did I mention I don't like this show? I can see why it got incredibly popular. But seriously, if you've got kids and you're going to watch something animated, watch Bluey. Bluey is way better. It's so good. Bluey blows the shit out of every other TV show I've watched. Apart from maybe Hey Duggee. Hey Duggee is very fun. But Peppa Pig comes out and, my God, makes millions upon millions upon millions of dollars in merch. All right, let's look at the music that's happening in 2004. Big songs that are coming out in 2004. Toxic by Britney Spears. She's still got it. She's still got it. There was a song that came out in 2004, and it was huge for a couple of years. I've not heard it since. Milkshake by Khalees. Remember that? My milkshake brings all the boys in the... That one. What a guilty pleasure that was. I loved it. I mean, I know it was... I was like, I don't know what milkshake is. I don't know what the metaphor is. Like, when... it's not like Mariah Carey's Honey, where we're all like, oh, Mariah, are you talking that honey is... Yeah, we all know what you're talking about. Milkshake, I don't know what that is. This girl going, my milkshake brings all the boys to the... apparently, when asked, Khalees said, milkshake is the thing that makes women special. Like, it's their confidence. And, okay, I'm not following the metaphor. Like... I've never seen someone go, oh my God, the milkshake of their character is just it's incredible. Milkshake comes out in 2004. A song called Goodies by Ciara? I don't know how to say it. And it's very popular, but I find this, like the chorus goes, I bet you want the goodies. I bet you want them. Her goodies are her private bits, I think. And it is such a creepy term. For both men and women. Like, men can make anything sound creepy, right? But normally women can make those same phrases, take them and make them sound seductive or hot. Or something. But goodies is where I draw the line. Like, if I said to my wife, if I said, do you want my goodies? She would punch me in the face. If I heard my wife say to me, do you want my goodies? I would feel a strong urge to report her. It is just... I think we found the line. And for me, it's when you say, do you want my goodies? It's just... call the police and have them do a sweep of their house immediately. There's a song called The Reason by Hoobastank that comes out in 2004. This may take the award for the angstiest song of the noughties. It's a song about redemption and asking for forgiveness, but just look at this band. They are a snapshot of white American, or I don't know, they might be Canadian, I don't know, but North American boys. If they're asking for forgiveness, 100% the reason they're asking for forgiveness is because they got stoned and forgot your birthday. Look at a photo of them and tell me that's not the reason. Another song, My Immortal by Evanescence, comes out, and this is just so unironically tragic. It's a song about being sad and losing something, I think, but it's just so on the nose sad. Like, normally songs about sorrow have like at least the layer that removes it and makes it actually like, okay, this is bearable. This song is just, we get it. You are sad. You are sad. Like, if this was, but it's so cringe sad. Like, someone like, okay, we get it. You're sad. Stop it now. If this was played at a funeral, I swear to God, the corpse would resurrect just to turn this song off. There's someone that made a footballing montage of big moments where footballers lose. So the montage is focusing on, the losing side of a penalty shootout or the losing side of a World Cup or something, and focusing on the players. And they've used this song over the top of it. And it just actually makes it look like a parody. Like, I don't even know now if the person who made it was actually making a funny video or a video that is trying to show you about the heartbreak of football. But it's just, with this song, it's too much. It is too much. Google it. YouTube it. Let's look at the top 5 songs of 2004. At number 5, The Way You Move by Outkast, feat. Sleepy Brown. That it was the one that went, I like the way you move, that one. This one uses a lot of kind of horns or trumpets, like it's got that kind of Motown feel about it. Outkast. Say what you will about Outkast, I think they had quite a nice range in their songs. Like, I know their songs are pretty much overplayed. I can't even listen to Hey Ya anymore, but they had nice range. They were trying new things. It wasn't just generic R&B stuff. Interesting. That was what they were. And number 4, This Love by Maroon 5. Maroon 5, they were nowhere, and then suddenly it felt like, boom, these guys were everywhere for the next decade. And I think this was the song that kind of made them pull through or burst out. I'm not good at metaphors today. At number 3, If I Ain't Got You by Alicia Keys, who's having just a whale of a time in the early noughties. Apparently this song is... The inspiration behind the song was the death of Aaliyah a couple of years earlier. At number 2 is Burn by Usher. And at number 1 is Yeah by Usher. So Usher has taken away the number 2 and the number 1 spot this year. It's a good year for Usher. Usher is one of those artists that managed to just stay clean. Like, he's stayed out of trouble. I can't remember any scandals involving Usher, which is really good when you consider that he was mentored by Diddy. Yeah. Did he? Turns out he did. Well done, Usher. There's a great clip of, Yeah, the song that goes, da 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 da. That's how it starts, da 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 da. There's a great clip of a mum and her oven. When she opens it, it makes that sound. It goes, wah, 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 wah. And she does it to the tune of Usher. And she's loving it. And then it pans to her teenage daughter, who's just got her head in her hands, who just could not be more embarrassed about what is going on right now. And the funny thing is, the internet is on the mum's side, 100%. Just top 5, sure, whatever. Again, I think I'm kind of falling out of touch with what is good music at this point. I think the songs out of the top 5, like My Immortal and the ones I just talked about, affected me more. Affected me. Oh my God. So much affected me, guys. Let's look at gaming in 2004. In 2004, Nintendo releases... the Nintendo DS. They're really chasing the handheld portable market. By the way, the Nintendo DS is one of the best quote-unquote consoles sold ever. It sells so many in the several million units. Not million, but you know what I'm saying. It's millions of units. I think it sells more than the PS2. So Nintendo's chasing the handheld market, but in the main event, PS2 and Xbox are dominating, and they're at their zenith right now because the next big console is going to be released. They're going to be starting to be released from the next year after this. Now, this is a really golden age for gaming because the three big releases for the big three, and I'm talking about Xbox, PS2, and PC. The three big games this year are Halo 2 is released for the Xbox, which is fantastic. I remember my flatmate's brother. My flatmate was away, but my flatmate had an Xbox, and his brother turned up one day and just knocked on our door and said, "Can I please come in and play Halo 2?" And we were like, "Yeah, okay." And he just sat there for like 6 hours in our lounge and played Halo 2, and he just went, "Okay, bye." Anyway, Halo 2 is very good. Half-Life 2 is released for the PC, which is such a long-awaited game. And I've not played Half-Life 2. It's on my list. But I remember playing the demo for Half-Life 2, and they were showing off the engine. And they were doing things like, it just seems trivial now, but they were like, hey, you can pick up this can and throw it. And we were like, what? And they were like, yeah, and look at how this box breaks. It's breaking in 3D. And we were, whoa. And they were like, if you... Look, pick up this other object and throw it into the water. See how if it's supposed to float, it floats, and if it's supposed to sink, it sinks. And we were blown away by this. It was incredible. It was they had in the demo, they had this gun that you could pick things up with. It was called the gravity gun. Like you could suck things up and hold it in the gun, and then it would shoot them away. And we'd spend all this time just seeing, oh, you can pick this up. You can pick this up. You can pick this up. It was absolutely mind blowing. So that comes out for the PC, and GTA San Andreas comes out for the PS2, the next Grand Theft Auto game, which would be released on other platforms in subsequent years, but in 2004 it is a PS2 exclusive. So you got these three games, so each console is pushing hard with their game. Halo 2 for Xbox, Half-Life 2 for PC, GTA San Andreas for PS2, and all these games are considered masterpieces. So it's a great time to be a gamer. Like, they all happen to be sequels. They're all primarily led by their single-player campaigns. It's a great time. No matter what you're gaming on, this is a great time for you. And this is a time when games are released, that's it. Like, there's no day one patches that you have to download. You get a physical box. You own the game. You physically own the game. When you download a game these days, you don't own that, really, because it's the second they decide to close the servers, that your game is gone. You got a booklet. Like, they had to send games out completed. There wasn't like, oh my god, this is so broken, but don't worry, we'll fix it in a few patches. There was no microtransactions. There was no mandatory internet access required for single-player games. There was no like, oh, check out this DLC, which you can get for another $50, which can be a double-edged sword. But this was really a good time to be a gamer. World of Warcraft also releases this year, and plays its part in tackling overpopulation by keeping millions of young people online instead of procreating. It's the insidious thing about World of Warcraft is, by the way, it's still going strong 20 years later. It's an online MMO, massively multiplayer online, and that means it never ends. You never complete the game. You just keep playing the game. It's not like, oh, I completed Half-Life 2, that was good, and you might replay it once, maybe twice more, but then you're probably done with it. You've had that experience. These games, they never end. There were stories of like kids in Korea that would like tape empty 2-liter bottles to their dicks so they didn't have to go to the toilet, so they could just keep playing this game. Yeah, I've never touched it. I don't think I want to. The game I want to talk about that I remember from this year is Doom 3. Doom 3 comes out, and it's been a decade since the release of Doom 2, so it's 10 years in the making. And gone are the pixelated, two-dimensional sprite graphics of, 1994. This is a fully 3D, beautiful game that, like, lighting plays a huge part of it. I obviously wanted to play it. However, they've really changed it from, like, hardcore action shooter to being much more of a survival horror, especially for the first half of the game. You're wandering around mainly in the dark, and it is scary. Like, I had so many times I'm having jump scares, I'm screaming, I'm tense, my heart rate's through the roof, and I'm terrified playing this game. And I'm 22. I'm 22 at this point, and I'm like, oh god, I don't want to play that. I don't think I could play it at night. I couldn't play it at night, too dark. There was one point I'm about maybe a third or a halfway through the game, and suddenly this monster comes out, and it's monsters. They're little babies that are demons, and they've got like sunken eyes. And you heard their scream, their wail and I saw their shadow, and I was like, what the hell is that? And it came around the corner, and it came towards me, and I screamed, and I jumped up, and I turned the computer off, and I walked out of the room, and I did not play. I couldn't play it again. I didn't finish it. I didn't touch this game again until 2020. It took me 16 years before I could go, okay, I think I'm ready to have another go at this. And I think I only really made it through because by this point the graphics looked dated, and I was like, they're clearly graphics, rather than like the demon baby is coming to get me. Yeah, anyway, Doom 3, it's a good game. Check it out. Let's look at movies this year in 2004. Franchises in 2004 are bringing in a lot of money. However, everyone's jumping on the franchise wagon, and there are a lot of bloated sequels out there this year. Sequels that just did not need to be made, or if they are made, they're made poorly. Things like Meet the Fockers, Bridget Jones' Edge of Reason. It was terrible. I know there's Bridget Jones fans out there. It was awful. Bridget Jones was done after the first movie. Fight me on that. Blade Trinity comes out. Scooby-Doo 2, the movie that no one asked for, comes out. Alien vs. Predator comes out, which is the movie a lot of people asked for and then asked for a refund. Ocean's 12 comes out. I detest Ocean's 12. And let me just... When I was 22, all right, when I didn't have a wife or child or career choices to worry about or anything really of value to worry about, I would form strong opinions on things that did not matter. And this movie was one of them. And the Julia Roberts plotline in this unnerved me so much. I hated this movie because of this. If you're not familiar with Ocean's 12, it's a star-studded cast, heist movie. And one of the stars in there is Julia Roberts. She's playing a character in the movie, right? Of course, because she's Julia Roberts, in the movie, she has a character. And in the movie, in this heist, they have a problem, and they decide the way to get around this is they will take Julia Roberts' character, who is called Tess, and they go, Tess, what if we disguise you? And you're waiting for it. The whole, what are you going to disguise her as? And they go, what if we disguise you as Julia Roberts? What? Hold on. We've broken the fourth wall here, and we've broken the fourth wall, and we've punch the audience in the face, because that makes zero sense. Because if the second you do that, the rest of the logic of this movie crumbles. Because if she is in this gang that includes people like Don Cheadle and Matt Damon and Brad Pitt and George Clooney and Julia Roberts, if she is able to disguise herself as Julia Roberts, clearly we're living in the world that we live in. And that also includes Don Cheadle, Matt Damon, Brad Pitt, and George Clooney. And the stupidest thing in this movie is, while she is in disguise, Tess is in disguise as Julia Roberts, a real person who is played by a character who is actually the real Julia Roberts. Do you see what is the problem with this? She encounters Bruce Willis, and Bruce Willis goes, Julia! Right? Because she's disguised as Julia Roberts now. And he doesn't go, oh, he doesn't recognize the rest of her crew. He doesn't go, oh, what are you and George and Brad and Matt doing here as well? It makes zero sense. I have no idea how this got through script approval. I loved Ocean's 11. The first one was great. Ocean's 12, bag of shit. Absolute bag of shit. I wonder if did Julia Roberts even look at this and go, this is ridiculous. Come on, fire your scriptwriter. Okay, rant over. God, I hate that movie. Ugh, stupid. Stupid. And I could have liked it because the villain uses capoeira to get through a laser tripwire field. But no, they had to go and pull that crap. Anyway, let's look at the top 5 before I get any angrier. Number 5, in 2004, The Passion of the Christ comes out. Directed by Mel Gibson. And boy, if you're into torture porn, you're going to love this one. I think it's really just 2 hours of Christ hurting. And by the way, little point on I thought about, and this might upset some Christians. You know when they say Jesus died for our sins, right? He knew he was going to be resurrected. He knew he was coming back. because he told everyone, he's like, oh, by the way, I'm gonna come back. All right. So if you are saying you're dying for our sins, knowing you're going to be resurrected, I think that kind of takes away a bit from the whole, hey, I died for your sins. All right. Claiming to be like, hey, I'm going to die for your sins, so you owe me, when you know you're going to be resurrected, is a bit like me saying, hey, I'll get lunch when I know I'm going to skip out on the bill. You know? All right. Let the Christians come at me. Number 4 comes out in 2004, The Incredibles. The Incredibles is a very, very good movie by Pixar. It's a movie that plays to adults. I tried showing this to my daughter when she was about 5 or so. Not interested. It really plays to adults. It's a Pixar movie, but it's 100% pitched to adults. The opening old-timey setting is a time that really only adults would connect with. I mean, it delves into the psyche of superheroes, specifically if they are solely defined by their superhero personas, or are they something more? Are they complete people? What makes them, when you're a superhero, what makes you feel fulfilled? Is family and a regular life enough for you? The villain is completely relatable, and the action is spectacular in this. I mean, it's a superhero movie with amazing superhero action. This is the Fantastic Four movie we wanted. All right, it's great. Sequel, not so much, but the first one, so good, and very funny. The jokes in this are so good. At number 3 is Spider-Man 2, which is considered the best Spider-Man movie before the Tom Holland ones came along. Alfred Molina plays a great Doc Ock in this. Tobey Maguire's firing on all cylinders. They've really found the things they wanted to fix from the first one. It's a very good Spider-Man movie. Solid. I remember they made a action figure of this from Spider-Man 2, and it was incredibly articulated. And I had a friend that would do sketches and art, and he bought one because he said it was great for putting a model into any pose that he could use for sketches. Right? He's like, he said, I'm not a Spider-Man fan, but like, this is what I use when I want to, you can put him in any pose to draw. Very interesting. And number 2, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Kissing? I don't know. You know the one, if you're a Harry Potter fan. Harry Potter franchise is alive and well. I don't even know if this is the 4th or the 3rd or I don't know when it is. Harry Potter is number 2, and he's doing very well. And at number 1 is Shrek 2. Shrek 2 made me fall in love with the song I Need a Hero by Bonnie Tyler when they play it at the end montage. I mean, it's a solid sequel. Again, they've got a great cast. It's very funny. They've progressed the story nicely. Antonio Banderas, they introduced Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots in this, and he's so good. He steals the show. He's so good, they give him his own spin-off series of movies. The latest one of which, The Last Wish, is very good. If you're out of kids' movies to watch Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. It has no business being as good as it is. However, it can be. They've got one character and it's a little bit scary, so maybe not for your under 4s. I don't know. 3 out of 5 of the top 3 out of the 5 of these top 5 movies. 4 if you count Spider-Man 2, and 5 if you count. They're what am I trying to say? Let me try that again. 3 out of 5 of these movies are family movies. They're family movies. 4 if you count Spider-Man 2, and 5 if you count Passion of the Christ for fundamentalist Christian families that are like, well, we've got to watch this. Kids, we're watching this. It's great. Maybe we're seeing a sway towards movies aimed at younger audiences. The thing about movies that are aimed at younger audiences, they sell more tickets. If you're pitching to families, and I did this with one of my shows, Card Ninja, the first time I did it in Edinburgh, it was R18, and the next year I made it at 2 o'clock and I made it family friendly, and it sold gangbusters. Families just have more people. They sell more tickets. You've got a family of 4. Like most couples going to movies, just 2 of them. Families, you're probably looking at 4 tickets. So maybe studios are going, hey, if we just make... And again, you got to make movies that adults want to go to as well. That's why I think things like maybe Spider-Man 2 and The Incredibles, this is what you do. Pitching just to kids? No. That's why Peppa Pig sucks. Anyway, amongst the top 5, in the cracks of all these franchise movies, there is so much creativity going on in movies in 2004 and experimentation. We got some really great movies coming out. Yeah, like the documentary blockbuster becomes a thing with Super Size Me and maybe Bowling for Columbine a couple of years before that. $1 Million Baby comes out. Saw, The first Saw movie comes out in 2004. Remember when Saw was new and fresh and everyone was like, whoa, what is this? Kung Fu Hustle comes out, which is a treat for anyone that grew up on martial arts movies. It's an action comedy that spoofs kung fu tropes. It's done by Stephen Chow, who also did Shaolin Soccer. And it is very good. I keep saying that. I've got to find another phrase. It is very good. It is hilarious. And it subtly pastiches kung fu movie tropes, but also honors them. It's very hard to do that at the same time, to like kind of poke fun at something, but also be very good at the thing you're poking fun at. Like kind of beating you at your own game, you know. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind comes out, which is a very cerebral drama with Jim Carrey that I think is anyone should watch. Like just delves into like what happens to your brain when you break up. Napoleon Dynamite comes out, which is what I feel sorry for John Heder. Napoleon Dynamite was a bit of a sleeper hit. It was a bit of like a coming of age high school movie, but it's awkward comedy. You know, it's a bit, it's not for everyone, but it's a smash hit. And John Heder, who plays that lead character, everyone was like, oh, this kid's going to go places. He's going to be the next big comedic star. And he got a big shot in Blades of Glory alongside Will Ferrell. And then after that, didn't really do anything. I mean, I think he's had a couple of bit parts here and there, but like definitely not on the trajectory everyone said he was going to be. But he did very well in Napoleon Dynamite, and for me, it's it's very funny. Team America: World Police comes out. This movie, man, like the fact that the people behind South Park were like, we're going to make a movie with puppets that lampoons America's image of itself, is very good. Yeah, I said it, very good. But it's hilarious to go, we're going to make it Thunderbird style. By the way, I saw the making of this and they were like, never work with puppets. It's such a pain in the ass to even the simplest action for a puppet to do. No way. There's that famous, because they got all the puppets of celebrities as well, and the famous the famous line from Matt Damon as he just says, Matt Damon. That's all he says. And apparently that wasn't the plan. They just, when they got the puppet of Matt Damon brought back, they were like, he looks like he's Matt Damon simplified. And they just went, yeah, all he's going to say is his own name. That's very funny. This movie, I remember watching it, and Team America World Police is this, imagine like a international SWAT team, but it's America, Team America World Police. And they've got like Thunderbird-styled vehicles, and their lair is in Mount Rushmore. And when they deploy, the heads of Mount Rushmore open and their vehicles fly out. But the song that played when this came on, and it goes, America, America. And then it has this rock riff, and it goes, America, fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day. Yeah. I started laughing so hard, my lungs hurt. I almost wet myself, like just... It lampooned America so well. And in that moment of just the arrogance of like, we're going to police the world, and when we deploy, the theme song is America, fuck yeah. I was rolling on the floor laughing. It was the funniest thing I'd ever seen all year. However, best movie of the year for me in 2004 is Mean Girls. Mean Girls is so fetch. If you've seen the movie, it's the best version of a high school movie there is. Tina Fey wrote it, so the comedy is sharp. The story in it is very, very relatable. It's very... I'm going to stop saying it's very good. It's very well written. It's tight. It's not bloated. There's no moments in this movie that feel like so incredibly forced, like it's so easy to do in other teen movies. It's fat, there's no fat on this movie. It's great. It's produced a lot of memes and phrases. It's got that get in loser meme that we've got from that, and trying to make fetch happen, that line. And also these mean girls, the girly side of being bullied in high school. My wife went to an all-girls high school, and she tells me so much of what these mean girls do is true. Like the phone baiting, like being on one line and having another girl listening in secretly to a conversation you're having and trying to get one girl to say something about the other girl. She said, oh yeah, that used to happen all the time. the cattiness, the status games. Girls are horrible. The stories I've heard from my wife about girls in high school, like they're out to destroy you. Like, boys will beat each other up, but girls, it sounds like they were like, we will make her miserable. Like, far worse than what happens to boys. It's just such a tight movie. Every time this comes on, I'm like, yes, Mean Girls. And you know what? It is. When people talk about, female-led this and like female... This is the kind of thing you should be looking towards, because it is completely female-led, female protagonists, female-led comedy. And you know why it works? It's because it just focuses on the comedy rather than telling you, hey, look at us. We're female-led. Huh? It just gets on with it. And it's like Bridesmaids does the same thing. Bridesmaids is hilarious. It's one of the best comedies of the decade. And again, female-led, but it does not labor the point. It just goes, we're doing an amazing comedy. And that's what Mean Girls does too. The principal in this movie is so funny. Check it out. If you know, you know. Times Person of the Year is George W. Bush. Because of reasons, I don't care anymore about Times Person of the Year, but I'm keeping the segment in George W. Bush. What did he do? He went to find weapons of mass destruction? I don't know. I always find that clip hilarious of George W. Bush, where he's on a golf course, and he's they've got a close up of him. You can't tell he's on a golf course yet, and he's I think he's reaffirming the war in Iraq, and he's doing a very somber and serious delivery to the camera. He's like, "Our boys will be out there, putting their lives on the line, and make no mistake, America will find justice, and bring these horrible people into custody." Anyways, giving it all that. And he finishes, and the camera lingers and pulls back, and you see he's on a golf course. And he just turns around and goes, "Now watch this drive." Remember when presidents could just be presidential and then keep that shit when they thought the cameras had stopped? Anyway, personally, in 2004, what happened with me? I got back with an old girlfriend, and we were just a couple. I mean, I remember we just got very comfortable. I think both of us it just seemed easier to be together than single, and I think that, evidently turned out to be problematic. But yeah, got back with an old girlfriend. But the main thing I remember around this time was I joined the Jesters, and we were doing Scared Scriptless, the weekly improv show at the Court Theatre, and we would rehearse every week, and we got guest tutors. The great thing about being part of a professional theatre is we would have improv classes, workshops every Tuesday where we would rehearse as a company, do scenes, get better at improv and everything. However, anytime the company, the theatre, had a guest tutor come in to help with actors in the main show, we could get them to come and do a session with us. So we got some fight choreography done. That was great. We got vocal coaching, singing coaching and stuff, linguistics coaching. This is where I found out that New Zealand actually linguistically has the laziest accent in the world. Because when you think about accents, your accent is dictated by where the sounds come from in your mouth. So some sounds will come from the front of the mouth, the top of the mouth, the sides. Different sounds come from different places, and you put those combinations together and you get an accent. The New Zealand accent is different because all the sounds, I'm just going to do an exaggerated New Zealand accent, all the sounds come from the base of the throat. They all come from the back of the throat there, just like really sitting quite heavily in the back of the throat. And they don't really move from there. So all your vowel sounds, all your consonant sounds, they all come from there. And that's why, linguistically, the New Zealand accent is incredibly lazy, because the sound doesn't want to move from the back of the throat. That's where it likes to stay. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm trying to tell you something helpful. But we're also not just all these incredible guest tutors. I'm learning so much about the theory of improv and comedy. Things that I never really thought of before. You peel back the curtain, you're like, oh yeah, there are some tools that help you, or ways that you can make jokes or scenes better. Things like the rule of threes. We had this thing called 3 or 300, which was, if you do one thing, you either do it you either do it once or 3 times or 300, and it'll be funny on one of those 3. So it'll either be funny the first time you did it because it's surprising, or the third time you do it, and it's probably because you changed it a little bit, because that's the rule of threes, or if you just keep doing it over and over and over and over again, there will come a time you will get to laughter. But before you get to the laughter, you'll probably get to confusion, then a little bit of boredom. And then for some reason, if you keep doing it, it rolls around again to laughter, or it rolls to laughter. And then if you keep going, it'll go back to boredom, and then probably a little bit of anger. But then if you keep going again, it'll roll around again to laughter again. Things like that. I learned things about like the absurdity curve of how you can have crazy things happen in an improv scene, but you have to build up to it through this thing called the absurdity curve. Like if you come in and start a scene going, oh my God, the chicken's about to launch a nuke. It's a bit, what? But if you follow the absurdity curve, you will get to a point in the scene where you can say, oh my God, the chicken's going to launch the nuke. And everyone will go, oh, no. And it'll make sense because of the absurdity curve. The handle of a game, like, anyway, I've given you, I feel like I'm going to turn this into an improv theory course, and I don't want to. But like, there are other things like being affected, winning and losing in space, how to take focus, like status things, like all these things I'm doing and I'd never thought about them before, and we're studying them, and I'm finding this fascinating. And also I'm starting to do a little bit of stand-up, because there's a group of about 8 comedians in Christchurch, New Zealand. Christchurch, New Zealand never really had comedy nights that were long-standing, because what would happen is comedians would start their own little comedy night in Christchurch, and then once comedians got to the point where like I want to do comedy more seriously, they would move up to Auckland, and they would be the driving force. They would have been the driving force of the comedy night in Christchurch, and with them gone now, the comedy scene goes back to zero. The stand-up comedy scene I'm talking about. However, at the time, it was our turn to do our iteration of this, and there was about 8 comedians, and we all kind of get to know each other from like university open mics, and about 4 of them started working with this bar called the Ducks Deluxe, and we put on stand-up shows, I think monthly, on Monday nights. And we would kind of like, there weren't many comedians, we would just kind of rotate around who would host and who would be on, and we got like fuck all audiences. Like we would get I think 12 kind of audience sort of thing. If we got like into the 20s, we'd be like, whoa. A couple of nights, I remember some nights performing to like 8 people. One time we performed to 2. We performed to 2 people. So when I turn up at the UK and they're like, oh, sorry guys, there's only like 60 sold for tonight. I'm like, great. That's amazing. I remember one time with this stand-up show, I think a tour bus had broken down, and suddenly we had a room. We had a full room. We had like about 50 people in there, and we didn't know what to do. We were losing our minds. We were just looking at each other going, okay, just keep calm. It's going to be okay. All right, we got this. And just going, oh my God, we've got a show. We've got a real show. Oh my God. So yeah, around this time, I was consuming all the comedy and trying to do all the comedy I could, which was not much that I could do in Christchurch. Like if I was maybe doing Scared Scriptless and maybe doing the stand-up show once a month, that means once a month, the most I could be doing comedy was twice a week. And that was just not enough. I wanted more. Anyway, that was 2004. Thanks very much for listening, guys. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. Let me know what you guys were doing in 2004. What does 2004 remind you of? Let me know on the Discord. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening. See you later. Bye.